Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to IGCSE New video today for physics subject, core part 0625 code, paper 1 version 3 for winter, October-November 2024. Easy and simple paper, but there is some tricks and we need to be careful while dealing with a paper like that. Let's start. Question 1. A student uses a ruler to find the volume of the water in a tank. She measures the lengths EF and FG. EF and FG in a tank, the volume can be get by length times width times height. EF, it's a length. FG, it's a width. What other length does it need to measure? So she needs a height, which is FK or HG. FG, nope, it's FK here, option B. Question 2. Which statement is correct? Speed equal distance traveled times time taken. Nope, speed, it's a distance over time. So not A. B, speed is the velocity in a given direction. No, velocity is the speed in a given direction. So velocity, time taken over distance traveled. No, velocity is the speed in given direction. Surely, yeah. So correct option is D. Question 3. A stone falls freely from the top of the cliff. The resistance may be ignored. Which graph shows the acceleration of the stone varies with the time as it falls? As it falls down, it will undergo. It will influence gravity acceleration, which is a constant, G. Which graph shows acceleration is constant? It's surely D, because all shows there is a change while gravity acceleration changes while during time interval. But G is a constant here. Question 4. Which statement about the weight is correct? It's a measure of the quantity of matter in an object. Quantity of matter, it's a mass. B, it's a gravitational force. Yeah, because weight is Fg, gravitational force, mg. For that, it's B option. Question 5. A student uses equation ρ equal mass over V. Ρ, mass over volume, it's a density. By the way, density, it's not D. It's D in common, but a Latin letter for density, it's ρ. For that, ρ is a density, M for mass, V for volume, velocity. Easy. Question 6. What is the point at which the weight of an object appears to act? Point weight appears to act, it must be center of gravity. This is the definition for center of gravity point. Question 7. Spring is stretched by adding loads to it. Which diagram shows the extension load graph for the spring? Extension load graph, Hooke's law, K equal F over delta X. Force or load over the extension. So which one? It comes from the origin by this, in a straight line. So it must be option B. After reaching here, maybe at any point, let's consider this point as a limit of proportionality. You're going to find graph after this will take a random or a curved line, okay, as a deformation happened. So option B is correct. Question 8. The diagram shows a force of 12 Newton being used to push box up a slope. Then the box is moved 8 meters along the slope. This lifts the box through vertical height of 2.5. Easy. He asks here for how much work done pushing a box from bottom to top of the slope. From bottom to top of the slope. So this is the actual required distance. Distance here is 8. Okay. With the work, which is, work, it's FD, F times D. Pushing force 12 times D 8 meters, so it's 96 joules. If he asks for a useful work against gravity, in this case, I'm gonna use only 2.5. But here, he gives you of the slope. Bottom, the force acting on the slope itself. Easy. Question 9. Which energy source is not renewable? Which one is not renewable? Biofuel? Nope, it's renewable. Energy from the sun, solar energy. renewable. Nuclear energy, yeah, nuclear energy is not renewable. They consumed. Question 10. What is the relationship between the power of the motor, the force exerted by the motor, the distance moved, and the time taken? Here, if you remember the power, it's rate of a change of energy. And in calculations, we use, instead of energy, we use work over delta T. Work from the rule, it's F times D over delta T. This is the rule. So E, it's F force times D distance over time taken, which is option D, direct. Question 11. How is the pressure is defined? Pressure defined from the rule P equal force over area. So we define pressure as a force act on when the denominator is 1 unit area, which is option area, nope, it's a force per unit area, option B. Question 12. A fixed mass of gas is trapped in a cylinder with a piston. The volume of the gas is slowly reduced at a constant temperature without any particles of the gas escaping. Which statement is correct? Okay, you have here cylinder, piston moved, volume of the gas slowly reduced. So volume decreased. What happens when the volume decreased? The force exerted by a gas on a piston will decrease. Force exerted by gas, which is the pressure. So pressure will decrease? Surely no. Pressure will increase. Piston will decrease also not? Maybe it will be increased. That because particles are hitting the piston harder or hitting the piston more frequently? It's not harder. There is no change in force, but more frequently means faster, which is the possible explanation. So option D. Question 13. The air temperature rises from 10 Celsius to 40 Celsius. What is the change in temperature expressed in Kelvin? In Kelvin, it's the same grade, same grading for Celsius. So here change in 30, for Kelvin also change in 30, same scale. Which effect is not due to thermal expansion? Not because of thermal expansion. Convection current in air. Convection current, actually, it's due to expansion. So, not A. Expansion of bubble rising through a fizzy drink. Through a fizzy drink, rising bubbles, it's due to pressure. So, this one is not depend on thermal expansion either. Question 15. On a hot summer day, the level of the water in a pond falls, decreasing. Which statement explains this? When you have a bond and a water molecules, water surface decreased or falls, that because of the least energetic water particles escape. Least energetic will not escape. The escaping happens for more energetic because of heat. But from the surface and don't return, or from the surface and return, surely not return. If they return back, the water level will back again to its normal, but not returning back. So its heating happens, molecules escape, not returning back. Question 16. The diagram shows a vacuum flask used to keep liquid hot. Vacuum, not liquid. How does thermal energy pass through vacuum? Through vacuum, only method is radiation. Only. Question 17. The diagram shows two transverse waves, X and Y, and are to the same scale. Okay? Which was correct? Wave with the largest amplitude. Largest amplitude, it must be X because here is the amplitude. X. Wave with the largest wavelength. Largest wavelength, it must be, let's check. Here, you're going to find the same scale. One wave, two waves, three waves. Here, it's one wave, two waves, and quarter. For that, the most the largest wavelengths, which one of them? It must be Y. So Y here, correct option is B. Question 18. Which row shows an example of transverse wave and an example of longitudinal wave? For transverse wave, light, yeah. Radio, yeah. Sound, nope. Water, no. Longitudinal, or water sometimes it's a transverse, by the way. So I'm gonna go for A, B, or C maybe. Which one is longitudinal? Radio, surely no. Sound, yeah. So possible answer is B. Question 19. A ray of light is reflected from a plane mirror. Which angle is the angle of reflection? Angle of reflection here between reflected ray and normal. This is the angle of reflection. Incident ray, nope. It's a reflected ray and normal, option C. Question 20. A thin converging lens forms an image. Okay. What is the nature of the image and can it be formed on a screen? Image from here, if you can see, this refraction happened by actual rays. Image here must be real or virtual. Surely it's real, not virtual. Can be formed on a screen, yeah. Real means can be formed on a screen, option D. Question 21. Which diagram shows the dispersion of light by prism? Which one shows? Let's see. It's A, can be. B, red and violet. Yeah, maybe. C, D, surely no. Only B is the correct option. Question 22. Which row correctly compares microwaves and ultraviolet? For microwaves, frequency of microwaves compared to ultraviolet, it's lower. For usage, microwave are used to heat water, yeah. And ultraviolet is used to sterilize water. Surely, this is a correct option. Question 23. A pulse of sound is produced at the bottom of the boat. The sound travels through the water and is reflected from the seabed. The reflected sound reaches the boat 1.3 seconds after the sound was produced. The seabed is 1,000 meters below the boat. Okay. Here, using the information, what's the speed of sound in water? For the distance, which is 1,000 meters, the time taken reflected sound reaches after 1.3 as the sound wave was produced. For that, there's time taken for sending the wave and returning back. To get the actual time that just to reach the bottom, the seabed, it will be the total time 1.3 over 2. It will be 1.3 over 2, 0.65. So the sound take 0.65 seconds to reach the seabed. And distance is 1,000. For that, the sound will be distance over time, distance 1,000 over 0.65. Let's check. 1,000 over 4.65. Answer is 1538. By rounding, it's 15,500. Question 24. The diagram shows 3 smallest compasses near to a bar magnet. Which compasses show the direction of the magnetic field due to the bar magnet? Which one will show you the direction? Here, I know that for the bar magnet, it comes out of north, enters south. North, enters south. So this is the actual direction, and south also from all direction, north here. This is the magnetic field lines pattern for directions. For that, P and R, they oppose the direction. So only accepted is Q. So Q only, option D. Easy. Question 25. A negatively charged rod is brought close to an isolated uncharged metal sphere. Okay, what are the charges on on side P and Q on a sphere? Here, as it's a negatively charged, what's gonna happen to this sphere? You're gonna find that Q, it will be negative. Why? Because the repulsion must happen. So Q is a negatively charged. MP, it's a positive charge or neutrally charged, it doesn't matter, but mostly it's positive charge and Q is a negative charge. Question 26. The diagram shows a simple circuit here, okay. Ammeter reading is 2, I equal 2, and voltmeter reading is 6 volt, V equals 6. What is the resistance? Or many times we solve that. V over I, 6 over 2 will be 3 ohms. Question 27. The lamp is related to 40 volts and 0.40 ampere. The lamp operates the normal brightness for 1 minute. How much energy? Okay. For energy, if you remember the rule, P equal delta E or E over delta T. So from this case, E, it will be power times delta T. And if you remember the rule for power also, but for electrical power, it's a VI, we can use VI here, which is energy. By the end, it's a VI times delta T. And substitute by the numbers. First number V, it's 240 times 0.40 ampere times time taken, it's 1 minute, but we don't deal with minute, we deal with seconds. 1 minute, it's 60 seconds. By using calculator, it's 240 times 0.40 times 60. The answer is 5760. 5760. So by rounding, it's 5800 joule. Easy. Not easy, but just try to link them. Link the rules. Question 28. The diagram shows a torch containing 2 cells, a switch and a lamp. Here, 2 cells, lamp, switch, and plastic case for the full torch. The circuit diagram is correct for the torches. Which one is correct? See here, lamp connected to 2 batteries. And these 2 batteries here connected in series or parallel? Series, not parallel. For that, I'm gonna cancel C and D. Here, negative, positive, negative, positive. Check P. It's positive, negative, negative, positive. So not B, it's A. So correct option is A. Question 29. Which symbol represents a device that contains a current carrying coil in a magnetic field? Which one? It's surely B. Question 30. The diagram shows 3-core cable connecting to a 3-pin socket to an electric fire with a metal frame. The earth, live, and neutral of the socket are labeled as E, L, and N respectively. Okay. So E, the first one, which is the earth. Okay. There is the earth. The second one, L, which is the life. So L is the live one. And N is the neutral connection. So this is the neutral. A switch is connected into circuit. Where is the switch must be connected? Switch must connect it to the live one. Which one's live? It's L. So best position is point P only. Not Q, not R. This is the positive one. So at point B only. Easy. Question 31. A student investigates the electromagnetic induction. She moves the end pole of the magnet quickly towards the coil of the wire. Where is the reading on the sensitive voltmeter? What can she do to get a greater reading of the sensitive voltmeter? To get a greater reading, how to do greater induced current or induced EMF? Is it by hold a bar magnet stationary inside a coil? Stationary? No, it must move. Move the bar magnet slowly? No. Use a coil of a wire with a fewer turns? Surely no. Use a stronger bar magnet? Yeah, it will work. Question 32. The direction of the current in a straight line, X, is into the paper. So current is enter the paper. Which diagram shows the shape of the the magnetic field pattern around the wire? Around the wire, carrying current, it's in a circle. The circles, a lot of circles. So it must be option A. Question 33. What does a step-up transformer increase? Step-up transformer, it increase surely voltage. Question 34. When measuring the emission from a radioactive rock brought into the laboratory, a teacher mentions that background radiation must be taken into account. What is the background radiation? Background radiation, they exist when they are ionizing radiation in the laboratory. Yeah. When the radioactive is not present, surely yeah. Because if the radioactive rock present, you cannot take the background radiation as considered. So for B, he told you here, brought into the laboratory. So it cannot be. Option A is correct. Question 35. How do the ionizing effect of the penetrating ability of alpha particles compare with those of beta particles and X-ray? For ionizing effect, it will be higher or lower? Surely it's the higher. Penetrating ability compared to beta and gamma must be lower penetrating because they are large particles. Question 36. Half-life is is it a half of the time taken or the time taken? No, I remember half-life, it's a time taken for a sample to be halved in mass. This is the simple idea. So not half time, it may be C or D, the time taken. 4. Nuclear number or number of nuclei? It's a number of nuclei. So correct option is D. Question 37. Radioactive material must be handled in a safe way. Which is not safety procedure? Which one is not probably work? First, A. Storing radioactive material in a cardboard boxes. Surely they will not work. They cannot hold the emissions happen. So A is not effective at all. 38. Solar system contains 8 major planets. What is the correct order of 3 of the major planets? Starting with the planet farthest from the sun. The most farthest one, is it Mercury? Nope. Is the closest? Neptune. Then after Neptune, it's Jupiter and Saturn? Nope. After Neptune, it's Mars and Earth. Yeah, in order, they are not in order, but in sequence, yeah, they are in sequence. So option C is correct. Question 39. The diagram shows a radio signal from the Earth being reflected by Pluto and returning to Earth. The distance between Earth and Pluto is 0.0050 light years. What is the time taken for the radio signal to return to the Earth after being sent? Light year, this is the the distance traveled. Okay. How many years will be taken? The distance between them. But for returning back, it will take 2 of them. So it will be 2 times 0.00050 light year. The time taken will be 0. 0.01. 0.0010. 0 years. Correct option is C. Question 40. The Milky Way is a galaxy, surely, yeah, made up about 100 billions. So correct option is A. By this, we are done now with this paper. See you next time with IG Nova with more papers for checkpoint and IGs with A level. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.